Hello, beautiful, amazing, fantastic world, and you, wonderful, wonderful individual you. Today, I would like to speak about enthusiasm, courage, love for life, and a certain sincerity towards participating in outer reality, not necessarily, losing oneself in tasks and production and stuff, but to participate with every sense perception with, it's not only the outer world, it's also the esoteric at the same time. Inner sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, and so on, will impulses. But the enthusiasm for wishing to learn and grow in these areas is invocable. It can be invoked by. It is about setting certain stances at first, knowing or trusting that what you are throwing yourself into with courage and also a certain amount of inspiration, you will be guided and safe in that, as long as we stay to a certain moral anchoring. So of course we do have karma that we continuously have to clear our debit accounts of, every one of us, both all of humanity and also as individuals. Or we have grace that eases these karmic lessons. For if it were only karmic lessons without any joy, without any breathers, without any pauses, we would get quickly crushed, especially in these days and ages, because we are in a very uncertain time, a time where we don't have a lot of insights into where we're going. We don't have a lot of insights as to what the human being truly is. And that is why, there are mileposts all the way back from all cultures, and you can get a pretty good estimation of where we are and where we're going by actually studying the progress of humanity in different ages and cultures. Of course, I digress, but it's about seeing the wholeness and the continuous unfoldment of new faculties within the human being. The further back we go, the less and less prominent and apparent our ego and our individuality is. The further forward into the future we go, the more individual and isolated we become, unless we choose in freedom to cultivate the capabilities of connecting in freedom again with each other. And once you have it begins a little bit heavy. It begins a little bit hard, difficult. But as you move along and become more and more well versed in certain inner perceptions and contemplations and the faculties we are bearing today, thought, feeling, will, imagination, inspiration, intuition, so on, our sense perceptions, the more we become good at finding out and discerning where do we have the strength to slowly but surely cultivate and unfold what we have latent in our being, and what is dead ends. So it's we need courage here, that's for certain. And you do not have a lot of people to look to when you do this work, except for past examples and more recent examples, but still most well versed of them are still 100-year-old texts and such, because we lose more and more the connection of what we were in spirit and in, soul beings, and now are utterly focused on appearances and outer forms, but very little inner impulses and inner intentions, inner mobility and freedom, where we do have our freedom. And of course, what do we continuously focus and nourish ourselves, soul and spirit wise? Are we nourishing our hope, faith, and love by choosing to actually contemplate and stretch our gaze towards that area? Or are we kind of addicted to suffering and, bad news, kind of? It is fully a thing. Just imagine how many people that are just constantly drip feeding themselves continuous amounts of propaganda and, well, opinions. But in the end, this is not what's important. What's important is for you, for me, for him, for her, for them, to find out who you are in all of this. To find out as an individual human being where your point of view is the center of your senses, of your thoughts, of your feelings, of your will. Where do you stand in all of this? What do you participate and cultivate in relation to outer life and so on? For we all have our strengths and our weaknesses, and not everyone are meant to do the same. And that is the joy, because the more variation and meticulous change of perception and forms and such, the more we become well versed in making our inner feelings, thoughts, and will mobile, making it move, making it, because there's not a single thing in this universe that stands still, which is so amazing. Nothing stands still, not a single thing. That includes our thoughts, our imaginations, feelings, and will. So if we have static concepts that doesn't change, it is not aligned with reality. For things do continuously change and metamorphose and transmute. I like to use, taking as an example, lightning and clouds and the sun is the same everywhere in the world. But cultures, needs, longings, pleasures, pains, traumas, joys, and so on are not the same in every culture. So that is why different deities from earlier times have different, well, forms. It's not that we created the deities. No, the deities reflected themselves in us. Hence they coming out in certain ways as to not all become the same. But I digress again. It's all about holding archetypes, for example, are very, very fluent, very metamorphic, very interchangeable with different cultures. Just think about that, because the spiritual world is never still. It never is physical and static-like. We are static-like, as we are, because we are not static either. Everything just moves, everything, always. And I just love reflecting on these specific things, because you become more enlivened and more paying attention to what comes out of you, what comes out of others, what comes out of the world, and so on. And that is when you all of a sudden started snowball effects. It becomes more and more interesting, more and more intriguing, and you're just starting to wait for life to show you more. And that is where the awaiting, that sitting in suspense without collapsing any assumptions, but letting life show. It might take a little time, because they don't come when we want them to come. They come when we're ready for them. The inspirations, the insights, and so on. But this is what I will leave you with today. Thank you so much for listening to me. May you be protected, guided, blessed, and loved by Father, Holy Spirit, Christ, Michael, ancient masters of old, ancestors from every incarnation. And may you be provided for with all that you need to survive, live, thrive, being creative, inspirational, and healing to the world, so others can choose to follow when the time is right. And the courage sits us most high. Thank you so much. Love you. See you. Goodbye.